The detailed learning objectives of this chapter are that the learner will be able to identify a marine area close to where they live, to list 3 different regional marine areas worldwide, to describe why the oceans are of vital importance for humankind, to recognize that 60% of the world population lives near the sea, to recognize the importance of the oceans as a source of food, to recognize that the IMO has established particularly sensitive sea areas, PSSAs, to protect marine areas from potential damage by shipping. Over 70% of the surface of the world is covered by seas and oceans. On average, oceans are about 3,700 meters, or over 12,000 feet, deep. The sea is very important for many people around the world. At least 60% of humans on Earth live within 60 kilometers of the sea, and the sea is a very important source of food for the world population. This world map shows 30 different sea areas all over the world. Please select one area close to where you live, one area on the other side of the world, and the coastal seas worldwide include a variety of different ecosystems, such as tropical coral reefs, salt marshes, and rocky shores, all teeming with life forms of their own. Next, some intertidal areas and some underwater areas will be shown. Intertidal areas fall dry during low tide and are submerged during high tide. Organisms living in these areas are often ingeniously adapted to changes in sunlight, temperature and salinity driven by tidal motion. Underwater areas are covered by water all the time. Click on the thumbnails to learn more. Mangrove trees are trees with roots that extend into salt sea water. They occur in the intertidal zones of many tropical coastlines. Mangroves provide wood for local communities, sustain a wide range of commercially valuable fish and shellfish, and serve as natural flood barriers, protecting the coastline. Few animals eat the living leaves of the mangroves. But the dead, decomposing leaves play a crucial role in mangrove food webs. Mangroves are safe nursery grounds for many species of fish, some of which live on coral reefs as adults. While mangroves occur in warm tropical water, salt marshes like cooler and more temperate coastlines. Salt marshes contain salt-tolerant plants, such as herbs, grasses or low shrubs. They are only submerged by seawater at extremely high tides. Salt marshes often occur together with tidal flats. These tidal flats are submerged during high tide and fall dry twice a day during low tide. Tidal flats are not covered by shrubs, but during summer months they are covered by microscopic algae. Together with phytoplankton in the seawater, these algae feed huge amounts of worms and shellfish, which in turn are food for many species of fish, seals and birds. Intertidal areas are not always soft, unlike the salt marshes of mangroves. Some intertidal areas are rocky. The rocky shore presents many challenges to its inhabitants. Animals cannot hide in the sediment because the rocky shore is too hard. Therefore, organisms have to live on the surface and be exposed to the elements, such as the waves. Coral reefs are most abundant in tropical, shallow, clear waters near the equator. Some coral reefs can be found in deeper waters and in colder regions. While coral reefs look like coloured rocks, they are in fact animals. Colonies of polyps that are related to anemones and jellyfish. Coral polyps build large reef structures in various shapes. These reefs are the home of many marine organisms, including numerous fish species, invertebrates, animals without backbones, and turtles. Coral reefs are vulnerable to damage because they grow very slowly. Seagrass beds grow in shallow water along coastlines throughout the world, except in the high polar regions. Seagrasses are different from algae because they have roots that help move nutrients throughout the plant. But seagrasses are similar to algae in the way that they produce energy from sunlight, photosynthesis. Seagrasses support commercial fisheries and are a direct food source for species such as manatees, dugongs, and turtles. In cool, temperate regions, kelp forests, large algae, often occur in clear waters, together with rocky shores. The 3D architecture of kelp forests attracts large amounts of invertebrates, fish, and sea mammals, for example sea lions and harbour seals, in search for shelter and food. For example, living kelp is eaten by sea urchins. Dead kelp is eaten by organisms such as mussels and barnacles. Fish, shorebirds and sea mammals complete the food chain in rocky shore areas. Though the deep sea is cold and dark and the pressure is enormous, some regions are filled with life that is fully adapted to these harsh living conditions. Deep-sea organisms are often slow-growing because of low temperatures and lack of food. Many deep-sea organisms can reach extremely old ages. It is this slow pace of life that makes deep-sea areas extremely vulnerable to human activities. Deep-sea areas that are extremely productive are areas with underwater volcanic activity or with underwater mountains or seamounts. We still know very little about the deep sea. In fact, we may know more about the moon than we know about the deep sea. A particularly sensitive sea area, PSSA, is a marine area that needs special protection because it has special values that may be vulnerable to damage by international shipping activities. PSSAs are established by the International Maritime Organization, IMO. When an area is approved as a PSSA, measures can be used to control the maritime activities in that area. Such measures can be routing measures or strict application of MARPOL discharge and equipment requirements for certain kinds of ships. PSSAs are different from other marine protected areas, MPAs, because they are only protected against pollution from shipping. Other MPAs can, for instance, also be protected from impacts of fishing or other industries. The 12 designated PSSAs as of 2010 are the Great Barrier Reef Australia, designated in 1990, extended with Torres Strait in 2005. The Sabana-Camagüey Archipelago in Cuba, 1997. Malpelo Island, Colombia, 2002. The sea around the Florida Keys, United States, 2002. The Wadden Sea, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, 2002. Paracas National Reserve, Peru, 2003. Western European Waters, 2004. Canary Islands, Spain, 2005. The Galapagos Archipelago, Ecuador, 2005. The Baltic Sea area, 2005. The Papahanao Mokuakea Marine National Monument, United States, 2007. The Strait of Bonifacio, France and Italy, 2011.